Hello, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America, and my guests today are Terri Lyne Carrington, a trailblazing drummer, composer, that's right, I did say drummer, and the founder and artistic director of the Berklee's Institute of Jazz and Gender Justice, a multiple Grammy Award winner. She has recorded and has toured with jazz legends, including Herbie Hancock, Dizzy Gillespie, and Al Jarreau, to name just a few. Joining her is Grammy-nominated vocalist and recording artist Christie Dashiell. Christie has released 2 acclaimed solo albums, Time All Mine and Journey in Black. These 2 powerhouse artists have brought us a reimagining of Max Roach's groundbreaking 1960s work, We Insist. And now they bring us We Insist 2025. Terri Lyne and Christie, welcome so much to Black America. I've been listening to your music. It is fabulous, fabulous. Max Roach, of course, I classify him as one of the best, if not the best, drummer of all time. I know there's a whole ranking that goes on in the music world about that. But he was just amazing. No longer with us, but left this legacy of We Insist that I think our audience needs to be reminded about. 1960. Tell us about that and how you got to know about that and experience it, and then decide to update it for all of us.
Well, We Insist was a record that I don't remember the first time I heard it. My father had it in his collection, and I was always attracted to it and always actually was really drawn to Freedom Day, one of the songs on the record, and I arranged that in different settings. And I was friendly with Max because he would come through the Boston area where I grew up, and he would have me sit in and play his drum kit, and just very supportive. He tried to get me a record deal when I was 16. I would go visit him and even babysat his twins. So there was a relationship.
I know, right?
Yeah.
One of them worked for me, right, at the Women's Media Center as a teenager, right?
Yeah,
right?
That's a small world.
I know. But you knew him personally and knew this great drummer, and
Yes.
Now, was he in fact the inspiration for you wanting to drum?
Well, I had many inspirations. My grandfather was a drummer. He passed away 6 months before I was born, and I feel like his spirit is with me.
But I understand you inherited his drums.
I did, yes. And my father also played drums. So my father taught me what he knew and sent me on to teachers. But it was people like Max Roach and Art Blakey and Elvin Jones and Jack DeJohnette and Papa Joe Jones and Philly Joe Jones, all these jazz legends that really encouraged me to play. And, Max was on the top of the list for sure. And he was also the first person that I heard playing in odd time signatures on a regular basis outside of 4/4 quarter time.
I have no idea what that means. So as we discussed beforehand, to explain that, because the drumming in all of this is just incredible. But take us through that slowly.
Well, I think, the common time signature is 4/4. So that means if you hear a song and you can just, do this, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. But then you add a beat or take away a beat, it gets a little tricky and harder to snap or to tap your foot. And Max did that all the time. So he became a real master of odd time signatures. And the secret in playing odd time signatures is to find just the common beat so that people don't need to feel the 2 and the 4 so much, and they're just grooving with you and they don't know where 1 is, but it still feels good. And Max, made me see that at a young age. And he also had incredible phrasing because he came out of the bebop era, playing with Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie. And he really invented a lot of the drum phrasing that drummers continued to do. So he was very inspirational and influential to all of us.
So We Insist, again, 1960, which was actually before the breakout of the civil rights movement as we know it in history. Things were going on, of course, but it was before Birmingham and the march and all of that. But it was a call of pain, really, and of trying to figure out a way of solving discrimination. And now you two have brought together this new version, of it.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, a lot of the same freedom struggles while like nuanced in a different way, some of the things we were dealing with in the 60s, well, I wasn't born.
Of course not.
You know.
And even I was in high school, if you could imagine that, in 1960.
In the 60s, yeah.
So,
that was, you know, a while ago now. But all that to say, we still are fighting some of these same things today. So it felt, I don't think that Terri or I went into the recording of this project with that in mind so much. But it's just the reality of the world we're living in today, that we're always fighting for freedom and equity and justice. And so the music happened to be really, really appropriate then and now.
right, right. So Max, the drummer, but created the suite of several numbers. Why don't we take a listen to Max's version and your updated version right now?
Drive a man and quitting time. Drive a man, the kind of boss. Ride a man and lead a horse. When his cat o' nine tail fly, you be happy just to die. Run away and you be found by his big old red bone hound. Patty roll up, bring you back, make you sorry you is black. Drive a man, he made a life, but the mammy ain't his wife.
Drive a man, he made a life, but the mammy ain't his wife. Chopping cotton, don't be slow. You better finish out your roll. Keep a moving with that plow, 'cause drive a man will show you how.
Wow, wow, Christie, you're up against Abby Lincoln,
It's tough. It's real hard.
but I think you pulled it off. You know, when I watched and listened to this, you're phenomenal. I mean, did you feel, oh my God, Abby Lincoln, and this voice and this interpretation, and so much of it, not even lyrics at a certain points, but just vocalization.
Yeah, just like sounds and soul and spirit. She's communicating in a way that transcends words. And I was really very nervous to take on this task because she has such a command over her instrument, but also a command over spirit, and it's really powerful. And I just didn't know if I could capture that myself. But I think what I did was just do my best to be honest, because that's what I felt when listening to Abby. I felt this really honest nature, this vulnerability, and I thought the best way to pay homage to her was to be truthful in the way I sang the music.
Right, and Terri Lyne, how did you find Christie? How did you decide that she would be the one to play, I'm going to say this, the Abby Lincoln part in?
Well, I first heard Christie on a Wynton Marsalis album, the Ever Funky Lowdown. And then Diane Reeves started talking to me about Christie because you were doing a mentorship with her.
Yep.
And then I started this program called Next Jazz Legacy as a collaboration between the institute that I artistic direct and New Music USA. And I had just done a gig with Christie for the first time honoring Nat King Cole. And I thought that she would also be great in this program. She just made the deadline because she's been out there a minute, but this program is really for emerging artists and people between college and, for the next 12, 15 years after college. And then we got to know each other, and she started doing some shows with me.
Oh.
And then
Wow.
the rest is history.
And the rest is great, 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 wonderful history. Abby Lincoln, we should say, also became Max's wife. We were talking earlier about Carol Friedman, who's been working on a fabulous documentary about Abby Lincoln's life. We hope that we will be able to see that in movie theaters soon, because it's just a shame not to hear more.
Yeah, and Abby's voice is all in it. I've seen some of the clips. And Abby's really telling her story.
And so we know that Max has a street in his name, in his honor, in Brooklyn, right? I mean, so his legacy is continuing. But do Do you feel that the drummers, you know, and their work are given, you know, their due?
Well, that's a great question. So many drummers write and compose now, and I think there's a stigma that drummers don't really know harmony or don't really arrange, and really just attracted to the rhythm of it all. But I mean, I studied piano and vibraphone when I was in college, and harmony, and so I write just as much as the next person. And I think sometimes there's a stigma for vocalists as well. And Christie arranged some of the music on the album. I arranged some of the music. And I've been writing and arranging for a while, and also conceptualizing things. I'm a producer. And I think it's all of that that was allowed me to get the recognition from the Recording Academy. I have several Grammy Awards, and I think it's not because of my drumming. You know, it's a little bit, but it's mostly because of the total artistry and musicianship.
Right. And now, as I understand it, there is one of the original cast, shall we say, or the crew from the 1960. We insist, who is in this production as well. Talk to us about him and how you worked with him remotely, I believe. Right.
Yes, Julian Priester is his name, and he's on the original album. I worked with him some years ago with Herbie Hancock because he was in one of Herbie's bands, the Mwandishi band, Herbie Hancock Sextet. And there was a reunion, and the drummer Billy Hart couldn't make it, so I was able to play with Julian and the other members for a show about 25 years ago. But then I hadn't seen him since, and I thought, well, it would be great to have him as a guest. So we called him, and I couldn't fly out to California, or no, he's in Oregon or Seattle.
But the West Coast.
Yeah, the
right.
West Coast.
Right.
I couldn't fly out there,
Right.
so he did it remotely, and it was great to have that kind of authenticity on the album.
Great, and you think he's something like 89 or 90, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? That's fantastic. Talk with us a little bit about the Berklee, which is one of the most famous music schools in the world, I would say. And you've been there for quite some time, and you started your own program there, bringing in younger people. So.
Yeah, well, Berklee has been very important throughout my whole career. I got a scholarship to Berklee when I was 11 years old.
11.
Incredible.
That was, I mean, can you imagine? No, I mean, Christie is saying, no, I can't imagine. But at any rate, all right, so you were 11 years old and you got a drumming scholarship, or
Well,
what was the
scholarship? Yeah, there was a
scholarship?
scholarship to go, and I took lessons. I took piano lessons, drum lessons, vibraphone lessons, harmony. I took an ensemble. And then finally, when I graduated from high school, I only went about 3 semesters because I had been going, and I just took my chances and moved to New York. But I've always kept a close connection with the college. The people that gave me the scholarship were the founders of the college, Lawrence and Alma Burke, who named the school after their son, Lee Burke, so it's
Right.
Berklee. And then before he retired, he wanted to make sure I got an honorary doctorate from the school, so that was the first honorary doctorate that I received. And then shortly after that, I went back to teach and moved back to Boston, where I'm from, with a few late night TV shows under my belt.
Arsenio Hall, you did, you were drumming there, right?
Yeah, and after teaching for about 10 years, I realized I needed to do more to make space for a lot of the young women that were not having a good experience, were not having the same experience I had. And I think, there's so many different kinds of personalities and ways of approaching music and life, and everybody shouldn't have to be the same. So I realized that most of the women that are successful in jazz are also good at assimilating, because it's such a male-dominated art form. And so you have to be a certain kind of woman to make it
Right.
through and play just like them. And I thought, well, what will it sound like if we don't support that as much as supporting somebody being their authentic self, musically, artistically, and maybe there's another sound that we haven't experienced yet in the music. So those are the questions that we ask.
And when you say it's gender inclusive, that means?
Oh yeah, gender. We support anyone on the gender spectrum. Non-binary, trans, cisgender, and we have about 50% male in our institute. There's so many more men studying jazz at Berkeley. So it's hard to keep a 50-50 balance. Sure. But gender is something that everyone has to deal with. It's not the problem of gender justice is not a problem for a woman. It's a social problem that everybody has to work toward.
Right, right. So, Christie, you teach as well.
Yes.
As you know, I'm sure, and your very first albums out got nominated for.
Yeah, my second album got nominated for a Grammy, which I still can't quite believe.
I know, that's incredible. So, what's that like? You grew up in a musical family. Tell us about your upbringing.
Yeah, my father was basically my first music teacher, and funnily enough, he's also my boss at Howard.
Oh.
So, he's the department chair, the music department chair at Howard, and so I wasn't quite sure how I felt about being his subordinate.
Still working for your, well.
Yes.
But you are still his subordinate.
I'm still there. I'm still there, and you know, I've learned that it's just legacy work that I'm doing. Like, my father passed on so much to me as a young musician, and so now some of these same lessons that he taught me, I get to teach my students. And I think at one point I felt like my legacy would just be like the music that I made, the notes that I sang. But now I'm seeing it's just so much more than that. So my legacy lives on through my students. My dad's legacy lives on through my students.
Let's have your dad's name, and your brother,
Oh,
I
yes.
understand it, is also a musician.
Yes, my dad's name is Carol Dashiell Jr., and my brother is the third, Carol Dashiell III, who's also a really great drummer who I play with pretty regularly. So yes, very much like Terri, I just come from music. It's all around me, and I feel really grateful that I get to teach this next generation.
So what is the future like for? Well, I know you're our future generally speaking, because the music that you've created really speaks more to our time now than it has in, let's say, if you had come out with this 5 years ago, I'm not so sure that people wouldn't be saying, oh my God, this is the perfect thing that we need now, you know, to think about where we are as a nation and the problems that we have. Talk to us about what you see as the difference between then and now.
Well, I think the freedom struggles that were being experienced in the 60s, you know, are different than the ones we're experiencing now, but a lot of it's the same too. It's the same, but it's contemporized, if that's the right word. And so we're looking at, yes, we've had a black president, but look at where we are now. So there's that, you know, racial justice that, of course, we're still working toward. And then there's gender justice, and then there's ableism, and there's environmental justice, there's food justice. There's so many things that we are really needing to address so that we still have a planet. And I think that the idea behind We Insist, though it was focused on racial justice, I think that it really speaks to a global problem and a wider social justice campaign that we're addressing.
Yeah, and Christie, your viewpoint in terms of what are young people thinking about, you know?
I think, you know, there's a despair. When I talk to my students and also my contemporaries, we feel like tired in a way that maybe our elders are like, why are you tired? You know, what are you experiencing that makes you so tired? But the anxiety of living in a world that doesn't see you but performs in a way that acts like they see you, it feels tiring and a little bit like, you know, disorienting. And I think like we are craving more music and more art that speaks kind of in a way that words can't always speak.
And jazz is that language, I would say, right? It always has been.
Well, I think other genres too. I mean, jazz has been in the forefront of the racial justice movement back in the 60s and 70s too, even before. But I mean, hip hop is doing it too in its own way. So I think that it's not necessarily the genre as much as it is how artistic expression, as my good friend Angela Davis would say that music allows her to feel that which she can't put into words. And I think that's a great way of thinking about it. It makes us, it's very powerful. And
well, one of the updates that you've done to We Insist is the freedom section. I was telling you how much fun that was. I mean, it's serious, but do you call that hip hop or just poetry within the suite? But tell us a little, because one of the things, a couple of the lines are very much, as I tell you that I love. Freedom is, among all of these other very serious things, it's like being able to get an Uber when you need one, it's, it's like binging on Bridgerton. It's like all of those things that talk to us about writing that part of it and performing that part of it.
Yeah, that was my attempt at saying, we're dealing with a lot of different freedom issues now than they were in the 60s. So I added that to our album, as well as a poem for Max and a poem for Abby. But freedom is fun, and I wanted to bring some levity, to it. I like the line too, because I was thinking specifically about Billie Holiday and how she was treated dealing with addiction, and how maybe Anita O'Day or somebody else was treated dealing with addiction. So I put a line in there, freedom is going to Hawaii to lay in the sun, or to cool off in the water, when you're dealing with addiction, which is what happened with Anita O'Day. And Billie Holiday, on the other hand, of course, died with a handcuff.
Sure.
Right. So I brought serious things, but I had to talk about freedom is getting vegan food wherever you are, and it being good.
Yeah, I love that part.
Right. You have so much fun with this too. And how are the audiences responding? Do many of them remember? Well, you have a mixed group, so some of them may not remember the 60s as well as I do, but go ahead. How are the audiences responding to it?
Well, we just played Japan recently, and it seemed like they like freedom is too, right?
Yeah, I think people really like it, and it seems like if they're not capturing the words, they're capturing the spirit. Some, like you said, there are moments of levity, but it's amidst this kind of really heavy topic, and I think people are hearing the laughable moments, but then they're taking in the more serious things, like, okay, thought-provoking.
Right. How do you summarize the part for Max and the part for Abby? What do you say? What do you want people to remember about Max and what?
Oh, I think that they were both trailblazers. They were both innovators in their own ways. They were both activists and made sacrifices for their community. And Abby really made a huge sacrifice with deciding not to go for this career of stardom that was really at her feet as an actor. And she decided to wear her hair natural in an afro when Hollywood was saying, no, can't do. And she just was like, I'm going to be who I am during this time. And then she basically left her acting career. And Max, the same thing, many sacrifices. So they're very inspirational artists to us, and I believe will continue to be.
Christie, what do you take from them?
I agree. I think their legacy is so important to highlight. I know for Abby Lincoln, oftentimes we diminish a woman's role to that of a wife or a partner. But for Abby, it's important that we realize how powerful she was and her activism and how much bigger that is than the things we tend to focus on.
Right. So what's next for you all? I know that you've got lots of things you're doing. We insist, but also other things.
Yes, we're doing a concert in October. I think it's the 3rd in Rochester at Eastman of We Insist. I'm just starting to work on new standards, 101 lead sheets of women composers, Volume 2, because Volume 1 has come out, and now we're working on Volume 2. So I don't know what we'll exactly call it. It may be, another 101 women composers.
That's great.
Yeah.
Christie.
Continuing to work on this music and play this music in as many places as we can. Going back to the classroom after a really restful, busy summer. And hopefully writing more music too.
For your own album.
Yes, for my own album.
Right, right. Oh, that's wonderful. And we want to emphasize too, I was saying that, well, tell us the story about your record player. You know, I would expect you to have one. I have one, you know.
Well, I did an unboxing video on Instagram, and you know, oh my God, the new record, and I held it up, and then I said, well, I guess I have to get a record player now. I don't have one.
Right. No, so vinyl is the thing, right?
Yes.
That's great. So we want our viewers to know that it is available on vinyl as well as everywhere, and I totally recommend it. It is such really a masterpiece of bringing Max's music and thoughts and activism and Abby, bringing it all up to date and yet creating it for the current time. I'm so glad you two are with us today. Thank you for being here. Our special thanks today to Terri Lyne Carrington and Christie Dashiell for discussing their album, We Insist 2025, a reimagining of Max Roach's We Insist from 1960. It's available on all platforms to download. That's it for us at this time, and thank you for joining us. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America. We'll see you the next time, and we leave you now with Freedom Day from We Insist 2025 by Terri Lyne Carrington and Christie Dashiell.
Can't believe it, but that's what